Okay, welcome to another measurement video. Now before we move on to area, properly finding the area, we need to talk about converting units of area and volume. Now you need to watch the video on converting units of length before you watch this one, because in that video we talk about this chart and how to get it and also how to use it. So you might be thinking at this stage, if you have watched that previous video, well good, it looks like the same chart, maybe we just do it the same way. If I want to convert from centimeters squared to millimeters squared, I just multiply it by 10, and that's actually unfortunately not quite the case. Because when we're thinking about area, we're thinking about how many squares fit into a shape. So let's say here's a centimeter and here's another centimeter. So this whole thing is called a centimeter squared. And let's say we need to find out how many millimeters squared are inside of this. Well, it's just how many millimeters squared, which is one of these squares, fits inside of this big centimeter squared. And you can straight away see that it's more than 10. So if I did this, started with 1 centimeter and times it by 10, I would get 10 millimeters. So 1 centimeter squared, if I times that by 10, I would get 10 millimeters squared. That doesn't work because there's actually a lot more. And how many are there? Well, the way we can do it is we can think about, well, there's 10 millimeters squared just in this column over here. And there's another 10 over here. And another 10 over here. And how many 10s are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 groups of 10. So that's 10 times 10 millimeters squared. So 1 centimeter squared, just by looking at this, equals 10 times 10 millimeters squared. Now, if I times a number by itself, that's the same as squaring it. So 10 times 10 is the same as 10 squared. So what's actually happening is you've got 1 centimeter here, 10 millimeters here, 10 millimeters here. So you have to times by 10 times 10 or 10 squared. So to convert from centimeters squared to millimeters squared, you times by 10 squared. That's actually the same for all of the other ones as well. So it's actually very similar, this chart, to the other chart. The only difference is everything has a squared on it. Okay, so let's do an example. Let's try and work out how many centimeters squared are in 50 meters squared. So we have to convert from meters squared to centimeters squared, we have to times by 100 squared. So we've got 50 times 100 squared, which is 100 times 100, isn't it? So that's 50 times 100 times 100 has to have 1, 2 for the first 100, 3, 4 zeros. So that ends up being 500,000 centimeters squared. Okay, let's try and convert. Let's now do volume instead of area. And so I have to get rid of all these 2's. I wonder if you can guess what we're writing instead of 2's. So let's use another color. We have to write 3's. For the units, and also we have to write 3's for the numbers we're timesing and dividing by. Why is that? Because if I have a centimeter cubed, there's a centimeter cubed, and we have to find out how many little millimeter cubes there are inside of this. Well, there's 10 little millimeter cubes here. In this section here, there needs to be 100 little millimeter cubed. And then I've got So that's 10 times 10, and I have to times by another 10 because I've got 10 lots of these sections. So really it's 10 times 10 times 10, and 10 times 10 times 10 is 10 cubed, 10 to the power of 3. There's 3 of them, we're timesing them all together. So let's do an example for this one. Let's find out how many kilometers cubed there are in 900 meters cubed. So that seems like a lot of meters cubed. How many kilometers cubed is there? Well, we have to go from meters cubed to kilometers cubed. We divide by 1000 to the power of 3. So that's 900 divided by 1000 to the power of 3 kilometers cubed. And that means I'm dividing by a 1 with 3, 6, 9 zeros at the end. And if you want to do that, you have to move the decimal place to the left 9 because we're making the number smaller, so by dividing it, so the decimal point has to go to the left. So we're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so that means we've got to write 6 zeros and then a 9. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 0.00000009 kilometers cubed. So even though it's a lot of meters squared, it's really not a lot of kilometers cubed. Okay, thank you for watching.